Hi, welcome to the Chazz Palminteri podcast. And I'd like to say that if you're enjoying these episodes and you're enjoying what I'm saying and the fun we have here on the show, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button right now. I'll wait. Go ahead. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Someone talked to me and says, Chazz, you got these crazy stories. Why don't you just dedicate an episode to the stories? I said, well, I don't know, because I always go into my rants when I'm talking about something. Then I go into my rants about stories. So I was thinking about it. I said, you know what? I'll devote an episode to the crazy stories that happened to me growing up. Stories in my drug times, when I used to get high. I had a little bout with, obviously not the serious, but LSD and pot and whatever. I don't know. Is LSD serious? I guess it was. I was in a band, I was in a band called Chazz. It was a crazy time back in the 60s and 70s. So my first story I want to tell you about is when I worked at a place called Fun City in Manhattan. Now, Fun City was right across the street. It was on 47th Street on the corner, for those of you old enough to remember. It was a place called Fun City, and it was right near the Metropole. The Metropole was right across the street. And I was in this band, and I'm still friends with some of the guys from the band. My good friend, my friend Bruce, he was in the band. He was the keyboard player. And who else was in there? A bunch of nice guys. So I'm with, in this band, and we're playing. And that's when they had go-go girls. They didn't call them strippers back then. They called them go-go girls. And they would be dancing in the windows, And the guys would walk and see the girls dancing, and they would come up and listen to the music. They didn't even give a shit about us. They cared about the girls, obviously. So one time I was single then. Obviously, I was a young man, in my 20s, whatever. And I would having an affair with a bunch of the girls that were dancing. A young guy, single, why not? So I meet this girl there. I won't say her name because obviously she's still around. Who knows where she is? She could be flying off somewhere. And when I say that, I'll tell you the reason why. She comes over to me one night and she says to me, hey, Chazz, did you ever trip? And I said, yeah, I did. So she goes, here, this is great stuff. She goes, when you finish the last show, the set, I live right on 47th Street. Come over, we'll have fun, So I was like, cool, great, We were like kind of flirting with each other. So what happens is I knew she was a little strange. She would always wear these like black capes and dark glasses. And she had black hair. I mean, she was exotic looking, but beautiful girl. So she says to me, come on over. She goes, I'll leave the door open for you. Just turn the knob, it'll be open. So I said, okay. So I take the LSD, right? And I'm doing the last set. I figured by the time I finish the show, the last set's 45 minutes, I'll be feeling great. So I do the last set, and I'm feeling, for those of you who have never taken LSD, it's like the first thing that you feel is, I do anyway. I felt like I didn't have feet. I was walking on stumps. You start feeling that, and all of a sudden, then you start feeling this lump in your throat. You go, and I said, uh-oh, here it comes. Woo! And the crazy thing about LSD is, it's not like pot. When you take LSD, you're on this ride for 12 hours. 12 hours. Because back then, it was the real strong, this was the real strong stuff. I think it was what she gave me was Purple Haze. Yeah, that was it. It was Purple Haze. We used to crush it up and put it in Oreo crackers, but that's another story I'll tell you later. In fact, let me write that one down. I want to write that one, the Oreo cracker story. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to tell you that one too. We were crazy. We were nuts. Okay. So I'm walking towards the house. I'll never forget it. 57th Street. She lived right on 57th Street, only between 9th and 10th. So I go up to a house and I knock on the door. Then I realize she said, don't open. So I open the door and I hear sitar music. I hear all this fucking music, and I'm like, wow, what is that? So I walk in, and for the sake of her name, it was Shelley, and I go, Shelley. And I don't hear anything, but I keep following the music, and I walk in and I get to the big living room. And in the living room was this big circle on the floor with a sign that I didn't know what it was, and she had all these candles around the circle. And I'm saying, holy shit, what the hell is going on? And I'm going, Shelley. She goes, come, follow the music, I'm here. I said, okay. So I start. Now, you got to remember, folks, I'm tripping. Okay, so if you're not tripping, what this is like, this is insane. But I'm tripping at the time, right? I walk in, and she had these beads hanging, separating that room from the bedroom. And I open up the beads, the music got real loud, and she's laying on the bed. Now, she had this long, dark black hair that was covering her. And around her body was a stream of electricity. I saw it, whether, obviously, I'm hallucinating. And I said, I remember because I was really stoned. I said, Shelley, you got electricity around your body. And she goes, I know. I did it for you. I'm like, wow. I walk towards her and she grabs my hand and she puts her hand on her leg. And I feel, and it's like electricity going through my body. And I put my hand away. I said, man, you're electric. She goes, I know. I'm so special. I did it for you. And I'm like, wow. And I'm touching her legs and I'm going, right? So then I walk over to her and we start, fooling around. But I'm cold. I'm starting to get cold. And I look and the window was wide open. And it wasn't winter, but it was like, fall, early fall. And I said, hey, man, you got to close that window. I'm freezing. She goes, you have to leave it open. I said, why? She goes, because sometimes the master comes and visits me. And I go, hold on. What master? She goes, my master. I said, I don't understand, master. It's you and I here. What master's coming through the friggin' window? She goes, my master, I can't explain it to you. I said, well, could we close the window? Because I'm freezing. So she goes, we can close it, but then we have to open it after we finish being together. I said, okay. I closed the window. And all of a sudden, we're kissing and everything. And all of a sudden, I feel her, she's on my neck. And I said, oh, I don't know, what is she doing? It felt good in the beginning. Now she's like biting me a little bit. And now she's really biting me. Now I'm in pain biting me. I grab her by the hair and I go, hey, Shelley, no, Shelley. And I throw her off me. I go, what the hell you doing, man? Are you crazy? And then I said, you bit my neck, and I feel blood. I actually feel like she broke skin. I said, what the hell you doing? So she goes, she looks at me, she goes, you don't understand. I can't tell you everything. I go, what? Tell me, what is it? So she goes, I'm a vampire. So I go, what? She says, I'm a vampire. And I said, what vampire? What are you talking about? I said, man, I'm bleeding. What the freak did you do? So I go into the bathroom because I really want to see what she did, right? I shut the door and I'm looking in the mirror, the mirror in the bathroom. And right behind me, I go, huh? Right behind me is a picture of Bela Lugosi as a vampire like this. Now, folks, you got to understand this. I'm tripping. So you know what this is like, tripping? I don't know, for those of you who never tripped before, this is real, man. So I go, Jesus, God. So I go back out and I go, what the hell is Bela Lugosi doing on your door? She says, he's the master. He's going to come and visit us tonight. I said, listen to me. Anybody comes through that window, I'm going to knock the fuck out. Do you understand? Because I don't want to see this anymore. And meanwhile, she's saying, just relax. It's going to be fine. And I'm like, I can't. Now, a sane person would have said, I'm out of here, got dressed, and left. That's a sane person. But I'm 20-something years old, young, early 20s. I'm like, she goes, I'm a master. She goes, we're waiting for the master. I'm a vampire. Just relax. We'll have a great time tonight. I stayed. That's how nuts I was. Not only did I stay, she became my girlfriend. We were together for 4 months. 4 months we were together. In fact, she would have parties. And she told me, the people that I'm going to have this party, she goes, there's going to be witches and warlocks. Vampires, witches, warlocks. And I'm dealing with it because I'm 20-something-year-old kid, and, it was good. You don't give it up that much when you're 22 years old, when somebody's that good. So I'm sitting next to this guy once, and this is when I finally broke up with her. And this guy had a beard, and he had receding hairline, and he's smoking this kind of big pipe. And we're sitting there, and I'm talking to him, and all of a sudden he goes, so Chazz, Shelley told us that you're one of us now. I said, well, I'm trying to be like a sane person. I wasn't high at the time. I was straight. I said, well, I'm trying to be diplomatic, right? I go, I respect everybody's beliefs. And, if you believe in that, I think that's a wonderful thing. But as far as me being one of them, all of a sudden, she sticks her head out from the kitchen because she overheard us talking. And she says, Chazz, tell them what you are. And I went, I'm a vampire. Yeah. And the guy says, welcome. So now I leave. And I say goodnight because it was getting late. I had to get out of there. I walk out, and I'll never forget, I'm walking down 47th Street towards Broadway. And I remember these garbage cans. And I just kicked the garbage can, and I went, I just admitted to a person that I was a vampire. I said, I can't see this girl anymore. It's over. And we broke up. And I never saw her again, but she finally got fired because, she was crazy. She would always wear these dark glasses and capes, and that's my vampire story.
Anyway. I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Was there a moment of this where you thought maybe I am a vampire?
Not really, because, Michael, my producer, asked if I thought I was a vampire, and I said, no, because I could always go out in the daytime. The sun didn't bother me. The sun, but it's different when you're a young boy and you're getting some real good stuff there. You ain't giving it up.
I get it. Now, did they adhere by vampire rules?
What's that?
Were they not out during the day, these people?
Well, it was at night when she would go out in the day. She would, but it was only towards the very end of the day and with thick glasses. So dark you couldn't see her eyes. But that was only during the end of the light, dusk. And I'm telling you, man, this was nuts. But this is how crazy you are. You take an LSD, you believe in this. Me and my friend Timmy Knapp, we used to take LSD, my whole crew. We would get high all the time, all of us. So we were in there, sitting down once, and we got into this thing. We would spike each other with LSD, which is terrible. But you would never eat anything in front of each other because you were afraid you were going to get spiked, right? Nobody would ever eat anything. But this was the very beginning, so not everybody was hip to it. So I said, his name was Timmy. Just leave it like that. I said, what is the one thing that nobody can resist? They have to have it. And he said, I don't know. I said, think about it. So he's saying, well, we can get cold cuts, we could spike that, salami. I said, no, it's got to be something easy. So I said, Oreo cookies. If you see an Oreo cookie, you got to taste it, right?
That's the sponsorship, Oreo cookies.
That's the sponsor. So I said, I don't know if they're going to want that sponsor. So I said, let's buy a thing of Oreo cookies. And we got all this purple haze, LSD. We crunched it all up, right? We crushed it all up, and we opened up these Oreo. It's very easy. You just take them, open it up, sprinkle it in the white cream, close it, and put it down. So, but meanwhile, we had milk there for both of us. So this is how nuts we were. I said, okay. I said, here, Nap, listen to me. Tell me, this is the good pile. This is the bad pile. Okay, so we could eat from the good pile, but not the bad pile, right? So we're doing it. We're putting everything in bed. And the good pile, we're just taking and eating them, dipping in the milk and eating, right? So while he's now looking, I take some of the bad ones and throw it in the good ones. Because this is how nuts we were, right? So he's eating from the good pile, thinking it's good, but it wasn't good. I know where mine are because I'm putting it right on the side over here, right? So all of a sudden I see him, we're loading up the Oreo cookies, waiting for all the guys to come back, right? And he starts eating the bad ones. And all of a sudden he goes, he goes, I got that lump in my throat. I go, yeah, so wow. He goes, could this shit go through your fingertips? I said, no. What's the matter with you? He goes, Chazz, I'm telling you, I'm starting to feel something. I said, it's impossible. This is the good, this is the bad. I said, this is the bad, this is the good. I said, you're reading from the good pile. I said, did you read from the good pile? He goes, yes. I said, then it's your mind. 5 more minutes go by. He goes, Jesus Christ, I'm losing my mind. He goes, please, God, tell me, Chazz, did you spike me? Please tell me. Because I'm losing. I said, yeah, I put some. He goes, thank you. He dropped to his knees. He goes, I thought I was losing. I said, he goes, you got to take one. I said, all right. So I took a couple of bad ones and I popped them. So I said, all right, you feel better now? Here, look. All right, you feel better? I'll go with you. So we had all these cookies piled up nicely on a nice dish in our clubhouse where we had, like those clubs, social clubs where guys, you would rent out the place and they would walk in. So here was him and I, we're gone. We're sitting there putting the television on, laughing about milk containers, laughing about anything, right? They all walk in, right? And we used to have this old guy who was the super. And his name was Bill. So Bill the super would come in and he goes, hey, you see all the guys? I want to talk to you guys, about the jukebox. He said something about a jukebox. And he looks and he goes, oh. And he grabs the cookies. Now, this guy at that time was like, I don't know, 60s, 70s. He goes like this. But the other guys were there, so we couldn't say, no, don't touch those. Because we would have been busted. So we just...
No, you definitely could have said, no, don't touch those. You totally could have said that.
I guess we could have, right. But then we would have been blown, so we let him take... He goes, you mind if I take a couple of these? I said, cool. So he takes 2 of them and leaves. And we're like, oh, shit, right? All of a sudden, all the guys come in. They start grabbing them. Just like I said, Oreo cookies cannot take one.
Sponsorship.
Right, what's that?
Sponsorship,
yeah. And they're eating these cookies, and him and I are just sitting there. All of a sudden, they all start freaking. Hey, man, do you feel anything? Now, a couple of guys never tripped before. There was like 2 of them who never did. Most of the guys did. Including Bill. Well, Bill, we'll get back to later. So they all started going, what the? Then they knew. They go, you put it in the cookies. You put it in the friggin' Chazz. Well, you and him, I know you guys are up there. And we all start laughing. But it was funny for them because they did it before. But that's what we kept doing. We kept spiking each other, right? We found out later, somebody found Bill walking by the Bronx Zoo for hours. He walked. Somebody said, you hear about Bill the Super? I said, what happened? He walked off Fordham Road. He walked past the Bronx Zoo. Nobody's seen him yet. I mean, they did find him. What happened was he felt so energetic. He went on one of his walks, and he walked all the way past the Bronx Zoo and down. But we were laughing. God willing, he didn't get hurt but this is how bad we were. We would spike each other all the time. So one day, they couldn't get me. I was like, because I wouldn't eat in front of anybody. I was the guy they wanted to spike more than anybody. Because I was the one who started the spiking, and they couldn't get me, and it pissed them off. We would be at a diner eating food. I wouldn't eat. because you couldn't do it. You couldn't eat food. Somebody would slip something somewhere. They constantly would spike each other. So I go to my friend's house, my friend Bunny, who's passed on now, and I go over his house on a Sunday morning, and it's my sister's, my younger sister's graduation party, and I left to go visit his house. She was graduating elementary school. And I go over his house, and we're hanging out. Then I was going to go back home, and I'm sitting there, and I see this fruit on the table, fruit. But I'm looking at it, and I see, banana, oranges. I take the orange, I look at it. Yeah, that looks cool. I cut the orange. I felt like having an orange. I knew he was in the shower. I knew, right? I'm waiting for him. 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes go by. He gets out, he goes, he's getting dressed. 25 minutes. Now I start feeling that thing in your throat again. I go, no, it's impossible. I said, it's impossible. I didn't eat anything. And I look at the orange. No, the orange is fine, right? I go, all of a sudden, he pops out of the bedroom and he goes, we used to have this thing, when you spike somebody, you would sound like Pan American Airlines. He would go, pack your bags, flight 505, leaving the Bronx. And I would go, no, you did. I said, how did you do it? How did you spike me? He got the stuff, liquefied it, put it in a syringe, and shot it in the fruit. Because he knew I was going to be there. Shot it in the fruit. Sick.
So you had to go back to the graduation
So
party.
now, that's right. Now I got to go to the party. And I walk in, and I'll never forget it, my Aunt Joan, God bless her soul, my Aunt Joan opened the door, and when this is how it looks. I opened the door, and all of a sudden she was like, hello. I was like, oh, God, I got to go through this. And I was sitting there with my mother and father, and my father's cracking jokes, and I'm crying, laughing. I'm laughing at everything. And my father goes, what the hell, why are you laughing so much? I said, hey, I was so nuts. I went, hey, Dad, I took some LSD. He went, yeah, sure. If I ever find out, I'd kill you. I go, I know you would. And I'm laughing. This is how nuts we were. But, wow. These are like stories that go on and on. And my friend Timmy, he was a character. You never met a character like this. This guy, I love him, but the cheapest bastard in the whole world. Timmy, I love him, but as they say, he squeezed the nickel so tight the buffalo shit. This guy was so tight. Oh my God. And you know what? But he was so lovable, we would all always pay for him. So one day he goes, this is twice he got us. He comes down, he sees me and my friend Philly. God bless Philly. He said, I want to take you guys to dinner. So we look at each other, we go, what? You want to take us out to dinner? He goes, yeah. I said, no. Where are we going? McDonald's? Where are you going to take us? He goes, I shouldn't say that. He goes, no. You cut that up. He goes, I don't know if you could say it.
That's okay.
That's all right.
That was a good one.
So he goes, no. We're going to go for a big meal. He goes, we're going to go to this restaurant in the city. We go to the city. We're like stunned. He's going to take us out to dinner. We sit down. These are two stories about Timmy now. We sit down, right? We're all eating dinner. And I'm saying, this dinner's going to cost, at that time, this is a few $100, a couple of $100, which was a lot of money back then. He goes, don't even worry about it. The check comes. He goes, give me that check. And me and Phil are looking at each other like, wow, this guy, right? All of a sudden, he puts the check down, and I see he's doing something with his hands. And I see he's got aluminum foil with his hand. What is he doing, And he does something. I couldn't see what he did, but he did something with this aluminum foil. And all of a sudden, he looks down at the plate, he goes, oh, my God, waiter! The waiter comes walking over. What he did was, he had a dead cockroach, and he put it in the food. And the waiter comes over, and he goes, what is this? what's this cockroach doing in my mashed potatoes? And he's trying to be quiet. The guy goes, sir, I can't believe it. Oh, my God. He goes, I'm sorry. I'm not paying this bill. We're not paying, guys. Come on, let's go. And I'm like, I'm so humiliated. The guy goes, well, sir, but I know, but you want to charge me money? I almost ate a freaking cockroach. And the guy let us walk out. Timmy says, I told you dinner was on me. You believe this guy?
I want to try that.
I don't know. I mean, he did it, and it worked. I don't know if it worked now. Another time he took us out to dinner. We never learned our lesson. Years later, he took 4 of us out to dinner. He goes, I said, Timmy, you're not doing a cockroach again. I swear to my mother and father, I'm not going to do it. I said, I was embarrassed. I said, you're going to pay for us. I made a score, yup, up, bing, bada, bing. I say, okay. Again, it was me, Philly. I don't remember who, Babes, I think it was there. A couple of guys. And my friend Nicky. He takes us to this place. And going into the restaurant, there's 2 lines. There's nobody, a small line getting into the restaurant. And there's a long line. He goes, now we got to get on the long line. I said, why? Why can't we just get on the regular line? No. We got to go on this line. He goes, I'm buying, you got to go on this line. So we wait on that line. So we walk in to a different part of the restaurant, and all the seats are lined up like this, horizontal. And it was a seat, and he goes, sit here, leave a space, sit there, leave a space. I go, what are we going to do? He goes, just do it. Don't worry, we're going to get lobster. We're going to get everything, steak, lobster. I said, okay. So we sit down, all of us, and we're looking at each other like, what is this scam now? Right? All of a sudden, the lights go out, a big screen comes down, and they're showing land in Florida, property you can buy. And as soon as that happens, a salesman jumps on either side of us and starts going, so, I see you're interested in land. Let me tell you about it. And you were watching the thing, and now I'm listening to this guy who's telling us about property that I don't give a shit about. I want to eat the lobster and the steak. But that was it. If you could bring people there, it's a free dinner for everybody, and you could buy land. This is my friends. These are my friends who are so insane. I don't know what to say. I mean, but think about it, how classic these guys are. My last guy, and I got so many stories, my friend Gary the Thief. Now, Gary the Thief, we assume was a thief, right? One of the great ones. Gary was one of the great ones. He would take you shopping on Fordham Road, and he would say, pick out anything you want. And you would pick out, give me that jacket there. You would go, you want that jacket? I think you should get that one. And he would pick out a better one, more expensive. And the reason why he would do that was because you had to pay him 1/3 of the price of the jacket. So he would always try to jack you up for a higher price. So he said to me, he goes, you let me handle it. So I picked out this jacket. It wasn't in the window. I mean, it was in the window, but it was on a dummy. It was the jackets with all the fringes coming down, those suede jackets. At that time, they were very big. I picked that jacket out. It was like, it was expensive, $100-something at that time. He goes, I'm going to get that for you. I go, how are you going to get it? He goes, let me handle it. He went in the store, went in the window of the store, took the jacket off, put it on, and walked out. Walked out. This man was such a genius, what he did, that he got a dummy's arm from a mannequin, and he put it in a long black overcoat, sewed it in. Now, the dummy has the hand, so he put a pair of gloves on the hand, right? Sewed it in. And he had his real arm in the thing with the dummy arm here. So he would go, remember when gold chains were in? He would go there, and the guy would put gold chains in front of him. But they just put the cameras in where you could watch they could watch the customers. So he would look at it with this hand and pick up the gold chain, and his other hand would be here. So they would watch over here, right? His other hand, his real arm, obviously, would come between the coat. I don't know if you could see that. He would come between the coat, grab it, put it in his pocket. This is how brilliant this guy was. The man that if he This man could have ran a company. This man could have been like, AT&T. This man could have been a genius. That's how smart he was. But where is he now? He's gone. Robbed too many people. That's what happens. Yeah.
What about the department store?
Oh, the department store, those guys were like so nuts. I mean, my friend, I don't want to say his name because we're still good friends. But we'll call him Carmine. Yeah, my friend Carmine, he said, look, do me a favor. You and Philly, stand by the door. When Sears Roebuck. He goes, when you hear me yell, just open the door. I go, what are you doing? What are you doing? He goes, don't worry about it. I'll handle it. All of a sudden, we hear, open the door. I open up one door. Phil opens up the other door. Here's my friend Carmine on a 10-speed bike flying down the aisle. And behind him are 2 or 3 guys chasing him. White shirts, black tie, chasing him. We open the door. Shoo! Right out the door. My friends, the stories I have, I could go on and on and on. We're going to probably do a segment of this, stories from my childhood. And this will be the first one. I hope you enjoy these funny stories. A lot of life lessons in there. Please don't do what I did when I was young. To all the young people out there. These are great memories to have, but how I'm still alive and how I'm here today, I do not know. So please, listen to your mom and dad, and I mean that sincerely. And the only bad thing about this, my son always says to me, oh, well, look at the life you had. I go, yes, but it was different back then. So again, this is the Chazz Palminteri podcast. And if you like the great stories, if you like the life lessons, the stories about acting, writing, directing, and just plain stories, Neighborhood Logic, don't forget our Neighborhood Logic segment. Always call in if you have any questions. Chazz Palminteri Show at gmail.com. Just a lot of good things. Look for Thursdays because I'm going to be doing soon. I did a segment about my old neighborhood in the Bronx where I interviewed a lot of people there, and it's only going to be on YouTube. So I'll let you know when that's coming out, but it's coming out soon. So God bless you all, and as always, be safe.